All right, hello and welcome back to your boy Hank Hackerson at Hank Hacks Hackers, your favorite network and system attacker, and we are going into the volatility room today. This is a part of the digital forensics and incident response pathway of module of the SOC Level 1 pathway inside of TryHackme. And we've done all of these awesome things so far. So this is going to be another tool that we're going to add to our tool belt for digital forensics, which is volatility. And then we only got a few more after that, and then we'll be wrapped with this specific module. So I'm excited about this one, volatility. Let's jump into it. If you are studying for ethical hacker, pentest plus, cybersecurity analyst or security analyst, or if you want to go into digital forensics and incident response, I welcome you to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell, and even drop a comment. When you do any of those things, two things happen. Number one, you actually help our channel gain favor with the YouTube algorithm so that we can actually grow the community and find more awesome people like you. But the second and more important thing, especially when you turn on the notification bell, is that you actually get notified when a video comes out in this path. And if you're studying for any of these paths, this actually helps you with your examinations as well as with your day-to-day functions of the job. If you like or comment, it'll sometimes show up in like your discovery section or in your new post section when you're just scrolling through YouTube. But when you actually turn on that notification bell, it sends you a notification that, hey, another video came out along this path or in one of the similar paths. And it's very useful in my opinion. I think it's very useful. When I was studying for my examinations, I actually used TryHackme as a tandem of the school that I was going to, and it was just way more useful because the school they don't have enough time to show you all of these things and to give you the details and all of these things. So they give you kind of like generic overview of a lot of the concepts, and you're supposed to do a lot of self-study. So when you do this hand in hand, it just makes it easier. In my opinion, it makes it a lot easier to not only pass your examinations, but actually do a good job when you get hired on as a security analyst for a big company or for the government or something like that. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump into the introduction of the room. Volatility is a free memory forensic tool developed by the Volatility Foundation and used by malware and SOC analysts. Used by malware and SOC analysts. So malware analysts, that's what they mean. With the blue team or as part of the detection and monitoring solutions. It's written in Python, yay, my favorite language, and is made up of Python plugins and modules designed. I'm super excited about this. As soon as I read Python, I'm really excited. So Windows, Linux, Mac OS, all that good stuff, written purely in Python, super fucking exciting. And it uses memory dumps from THM rooms and memory samples from Volatility Foundation. We recommend going through the core Windows processes room. I have already done that. If you have not done that, it's recommended to go through that because you'll probably need to pull some information from that. And if we're using the machine or the attack box to run volatility, download the files attached. If not, it's going to be on the deployment in task 3. So I'm just going to start the attack box as this is running, and I'm going to start the machine as this is running. So all of that stuff could be running in the background while we do the overview and learn some other things about volatility before jumping into the actual tasks. All right, so this is directly from their wiki. It says, volatility is the world's most widely used framework for extracting digital artifacts from the memory, which is the RAM, volatile memory samples. And as we discovered earlier in this module, volatile means that they could be gone in any second. And RAM, because it's in the system memory, and anytime you restart the system or turn off the system, that could potentially reset and just be wiped and no longer available. It's one of the most volatile locations. So the extraction techniques are performed completely independent of the system being investigated, but offer visibility into the runtime state of the system. The framework is intended to introduce people to the techniques and complexities associated with extracting digital artifacts from volatile memory samples and provide a platform for further work into the exciting area of research. So it's built off of multiple plugins working together to obtain information from the memory dump. To begin analyzing a dump, you will first need to identify the image type. There are multiple ways of identifying this information. Once you have your image type and the other plugins sorted, you can then begin analyzing the dump by using various volatility plugins against it, and it'll be covered in depth. So it's entirely independent of the system and allows complete segmentation but full insight into the runtime state. And at the time of this writing, there are two main repositories. One is off Python 2 and the other one is Python 3. For this room, we recommend using Volatility 3 off of Python 3. If you have not installed it on your own machine, you need to install Python 3. It typically doesn't come installed on a computer, and you just need to go to python.org to download Python 3. And then when reading blog posts and articles about volatility, you may see Volatility 2 syntax and all changes in Volatility 3. All syntax changed in Volatility 3. And within this room, we'll be using the most recent version. So that's pretty helpful and useful. Let's talk about installing Volatility. Since Volatility is written purely in Python, it makes the installation steps very easy and universal. That's why Python is amazing. If you've already attempted to use Python on Windows, it's suggested to begin on Linux. However, all operating systems work the same. And if we're using the attack box, it's already present on the attack box, so we can skip these steps. But just for your information, if you want to install it on your own machine and do it, you can just pause the screen right here and kind of follow these instructions right here. So I'm not going to do a full readout of these instructions, but it's, fairly straightforward. And these are all command line based that you can do. And then that's pretty much it. So we have the Ubuntu machine with Volatility and Volatility 3, and along with all the memory files, machine is going to start in a split view. And it's not, in case it's not visible, we can just do the show split view, which you will just see in a little bit. And then if you wanted to RDP into it or secure shell into it, then we'll go ahead and use those login credentials. But apart from that, it should be easy to run and fairly easy to set up. So I'm going to click on show split view and see if these things have been started for us. And from there, we'll just run into it. We'll jump into it. A quick little note for you, the machine. So this, what you see on the right side here, is the actual attack box. And then the machine itself is a Linux machine that is strictly command line, just like this. So it's not very user friendly. And one of the things that I don't like about this is that you can't copy and paste the stuff that's inside of the Linux machine, because the typical right click copy or control C, control V, all that stuff doesn't work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log into that Linux machine from the attack box, and then I'm going to just execute everything that way. If you've never secured shell into anything, which I would recommend you just go into that room and study that, or just do a quick little YouTube search for it. But it's very simple. You just do SSH, and then you would do the username first. So THM analyst is ours, and then we're going to do @ and then you're going to paste the IP address or type in the IP address. So that's what it is. So first you say, I want to secure shell into this user at this IP. You could also put a domain name over there. And then it says, are you sure you want to do that? And I say yes. And then it asks me for the password. And it doesn't show you when you're typing the password. So you just got to make sure that you do it. And then when it's done, you'll see that it changed. So this was my original command line, and this is my new command line. And I can do something as simple as who am I? And it says I am the THM analyst. And I can do an ID command to show my permissions. And it says that I have a general ID of 1,000, which is not root permissions. So it doesn't really give me much to work with, but at least I'm here. So we can clear that up. And that's basically our login to that machine. And then what's really nice about doing it this way is that now I can just open up a new terminal, and now I have both of them. So I have mine and I have this one, just in case I need to go back and forth and do certain functionalities that way. You can do it that way. So it's pretty cool and very convenient. In my opinion, it's just very, very convenient. Convenience is a big thing for hackers. You'll learn that soon enough. If you haven't already learned that, you'll learn that programmers and hackers are lazy as hell. And so if we can do things to make things more convenient, we'll definitely do that. So now let's go into memory extraction. Okay, so extracting memory can be done in a lot of different ways. The forensic toolkit imager, Redline, which we already did, and there's a video for dump it, exe, win32, win64, dd, disk duplicator, memorize, and fast dump. These are just a few different versions of this. when using an extraction tool on a bare metal host, so these are bare metal extraction tools, it can usually take a considerable amount of time. And if you saw the Redline video, you can hear me complain about that. To 20 minutes, on average, it'll take 20 minutes to be able to do that. So taking that into consideration, we need to be aware of other tools that we can use if time is a factor, right? So most of the tools mentioned will output a raw file with some exceptions like Redline that can use its own extensions and its own session structure. For virtual machines, these are the types of extensions that can be done. So virtual memory from the host machine drive, this file can change depending on the hypervisor used. So it could be vmem, bin, mem, or a .save file, and this is only partial memory file. So we need to be aware of these things whenever attempting to extract or move memory from both a bare metal or a virtual machine. Bare metal basically means a physical machine. Virtual machine means it's a virtual machine. So you just need to be aware of this, right? And the virtual machines, I think, are even more sensitive because at any point, if you use internet access or something happens, then you lose that connection and then the whole thing is gone to crap. So it's very important to be aware of quicker methods of getting the data dump that you need so that you're not there for a long time and risk the potential loss of connection or the machine being burned out, or I don't know, something. A lot of things could happen. So it's just important to keep all of this in mind. And yeah, that's about it for memory extraction. And we're gonna look at the plugins that can be available using Volatility. So let's talk about the plugins. Since converting to Python 3, the plugin structure has changed quite drastically. In previous Volatility versions, you would need to identify a specific OS profile exact to the operating system and build version of the host, which should be hard to find or used with a plugin that could provide false positives. With Volatility 3, profiles have been scrapped and Volatility will automatically identify the host and build of the memory file. Very useful. So you don't have to do that. It just automatically does it for you. The naming structure of the plugins has also changed. In previous versions, the naming convention has simply been the name of the plugin, and it was universal for all operating systems. Now with Volatility 3, you need to specify the operating system prior to identifying the plugin, so windows.info or linux.info. This is because we are no longer using profiles to distinguish between various operating systems, so it's important to understand the different memory structures and operations. This is the .windows, .linux, .mac syntax, and several plugins are available as well as third-party plugins, and we'll only be covering a small portion of the plugins. To get familiar with the plugins available, utilize the help menu, and it's currently active in development, and there are still a short list of plugins compared to its Python 2 counterpart. However, the current list still allows you to do all of the analysis needs that you have. So it says read the above and review the Volatility help menu. So Python volpy.h. So this is kind of what we would need to go to. So locate Volatility. Let me see if that's how we would do it. Python vol, so vol.py. What if I did that? And there is no vol.py command. So that might be an interesting thing that I don't think it's inside of this machine. So let's see where we are right now. So print working directory, we're at home. And in this directory, ls, what's inside this? It doesn't seem to be anything inside here except some of our basic stuff that is usually stored in a Linux machine. So there's nothing here. So what we need to do is we need to go back one and see what's in here. And there's nothing in there, so let's go back another one and let's see what's here. And we have some general stuff that's over here. And I mean, I need to be able to find it. So find, and we'll go by the name Volatility and see if there's anything here. Okay, that didn't work. So let's see if we can search by vol.py and see if there's anything in there. Okay, so Volatility 3. That's so annoying. Why wouldn't it show? Oh, I think it's because I didn't use an asterisk. So if I would have done this, but put an asterisk at the end, then it would have probably found it. Yeah, there you go. Look at that. Okay, great. So we did find the specific directory that vol.py does exist in. So that's important to know because we need to be able to run there. We need to be able to actually run it from there, I guess you should say. So now I need to go into the opt and volatility. And from here, no such file or directory. What do you mean? It's right there. Oh, volatility 3. Bro, come on. Volatility 3. There we go. Now we're here. Now we can run ls, and here's all of that stuff. So that's the actual Python file that we're going to be able to run. And so as running anything, that's Python, you need to first do Python 3 and then do vol.py. And then I think they said, was it H or help? Dash H. So this will show you the menu for volatility, the help menu, and all the different things that can be done within it. And it has a lot of stuff. So there's a lot of great stuff. So these are our optional arguments that we need. So C for configuration, load the configuration from a JSON file, extend the configuration with a new, use whatever plugin, semicolon separated list of paths to find symbols, increase verbosity, output, so log output to a file as well as the console. And that's probably a really useful one because I'm sure the results are going to be very, very extensive. And then quiet mode to remove the feedback, shorthand for single location file if single location is not defined, clear the cache, single location, all that stuff. And then these are all the plugins that are available as well that can be done. So linux.bash, linux.check, and since we're in a Linux machine, all of these things apply to us. The Mac doesn't apply to us, Windows won't apply to us, but these are some of the things that will apply to us because we are on a Linux machine. So important to know all these things. And then since we're outside, it just output the help menu for us, and then it brought us right back into the original folder that we were in. So that's what that looks like, and we should be able to have something similar on our own machine as well. So if I do find by the name of volatility and then do an asterisk at the end to dev null, which means don't show me any error messages. And so that should hopefully find volatility for me on our attack box machine. So anyways, we were able to run it to find the plugin overview as well as to find the help menu. So now we're going to go into identifying the image info and profiles. Okay, so identifying image info can be done in one of two ways. If you don't know what kind of machine you're on, you can always just run image info and it'll at least tell you whether it's a Linux or a Mac or a Windows. And then if you want more information, you can then do linux.info. And this is the syntax for it. And so you can either do it with the current directory that you're on. I'm guessing if you don't include this, it'll just run it on the current machine that you're on. Or you can actually designate a specific file that you want to run. So if we run this little video, they show the command. So they did volume, or well, it's supposed to be vol.py, but I guess for them it's fine. And then so vol, and then that was the file, and then windows.info, and then it worked, and it just dumped it out for them, and then they could kind of run that information. So what we're going to do is we're going to, I couldn't find volatility at all over here. So maybe it's not even on my machine. And what I need to do is I need to see if I can do vol.py here. And if that doesn't work either, then that means it's not even included on the attack box. And it's actually, yeah, it's not. So it's only included on the virtual machine that we're on, which is the Linux machine. So, okay, so the first thing that I had to do was actually find a vmem file or some kind of a raw file that can be used in the analysis. So that's what we have right here. We have the dump raw, and then we have the dump vmem that is available for us. And in this case, in this task, it's not telling us to do anything with any particular file. So essentially what we can do is just run the vol.py and then go from here and just do for the file. I'm going to do, what is it? I'll just do dump.vmem. And then what was the command that we're looking for is image info. So let's just do image info first and see what we can get. and it needs to be Python 3, of course. So let me make sure that I do Python 3. And it's not Python E, it's Python 3. Okay, some basic error resolution here. And there we go. So now we got another one. And it says that the proper syntax wasn't used, I don't think. So let me see what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay, I think I used the right syntax. It just seems to be that I didn't get any information out of this. So Python 3, vol.py, the file is going to be dump.vmem, and I'm going to do, I'll do linux.info. And still doesn't seem to be anything coming out of it. And it's not giving me much. Argument plugin, invalid choice linux.info. Choose from banners, copyright, so on and so forth, Linux, yada yada yada. But it seems to be that linux.info is not the right choice. So let's see what, I'm gonna just go look at all of the help stuff one more time, just so we can see what all of our options are here. Because I thought that I could pull it. So let's see what I can use. Okay, so it definitely was not the right syntax. So there's a few different ways that we could do this. So isfinfo again determines the information about the currently available file, and then you have the Linux, and then it has different versions of this, and it's weird because it's like dot and then dot again. So it's kind of it's weird formatting, I guess. But from here, we could try to see which one that we actually want to use. And for me, specifically, I just want to find some information about the dump that we got. So it could be probably, let's see which one it is over here. Okay, so I'm just going to run the very first one right here just to see what we're actually working with. And from there, we'll try to do further investigation. So vol.py, and it's going to be dump.vmem, or excuse me, it needs to be a -f dump. And then we're going to do the thing that we just copied, which is going to be our option. Oops, oh, now it's going to paste an empty space. No, okay, great. Okay, so there you go. Hopefully this will give us some kind of an output. It did, great. So we actually got some kind of an output now. And I'm just going to expand this and make it a little bit, that's the other one. We need this window. Okay. So this is what we got here. And these are the framework symbols, etc. NetScan Windows framework. So yeah, it's not giving me much in regards to the system information. So that's just the ISF info. And I think because ever since they created this thing, because even windows.info wasn't available in the list of the commands that I was looking at. There's Windows, registry, there's Windows, there's a bunch of other types of Windows modules that you can run. Oh, they have windows.info. Okay, fine. So let's see if this will end up working for that situation. So it'll be windows.info is the particular option, but this wasn't available for Linux. So I'm going to try to run this against the specific file that we just had, and we're going to see if we get any kind of Windows information from it. Okay, so we actually did get some Windows information from this thing, which can be presumed that maybe there is some, that it is a Windows machine or a Windows image that we just got. So the system root was C Windows and some basic information about it. So nothing crazy. There's literally nothing too available. But at the very least, we have determined that it is Windows. I'm going to assume that we've determined that because it actually gave me some kind of an output file. read the above and move on to listing processes and connection. To practice any commands, you can use any of the memory files that are available for us. And let's see what we can find here. Let's move on to listing processes and connections. So PS list is a very common way of listing the processes, and then you have Windows PS scan that can list anything that was done using an evasion tactic. So since there is by unlinking themselves to the list, you'll no longer be able to see the processes. So to combat that, we can use PS scan, and we'll locate processes by finding data structures that match the E process. While this technique can help evasion, it can also be causing false positives. And then we have the PS tree, and then netstat, of course, that will show us the network connections that were done. And then we have the DLL list that will give all of the DLLs that were associated with the process at the time of the extraction. So we can use any of these things at this point to try to find any more information about this. And one of the things that I am now concerned with is whether or not it's actually Windows PS scan, or if there's more. Yeah, so the syntax seems to be that it's PS scan, but then there's also another .ps scan after it that you need to use, and the same thing with PS tree and PS list and all those things, that like it's been increased, which is, I guess I can understand why, because for but netscan is also netscan, and netstat is also netstat. So it's not the exact same syntax that they're showing in those videos and in those specific things. It's been kind of updated ever since that room was created. So they did mention that this gets updated all the time. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to do a PS scan command against the file that we have, and we're going to see what we can find here. So same dump file, and it's vmem still. So now we're going to paste the Windows and then see what we can get from this. Okay, we're getting some results here. So SVC host and all of these processes exist. So this is actually giving us more information about the processes that have been done on this particular machine, which leads me to further believe that this is indeed a Windows image dump. So we could definitely kind of come to that conclusion for sure. But it seems to be that there's still more information about it that is still missing, that is not fully done outputting. So there's that. So it can give us the PS list, and it can give us the PS scan, that anything that might have been avoided with PS list would be there. PS tree does not offer any kind of special techniques. However, this plugin will list all processes based on their parent process ID, which is fairly useful. And then we have netstat. We need to have a way to identify the network connections present at the time of extraction, and netstat will allow us to do that. And then, of course, we have the current state of volatility that may be unstable, particularly around old Windows builds. To combat this, you can utilize other tools like the bulk extractor to extract a PCAP file from memory. In some cases, it's preferred that you can't, if you can't identify anything using volatility alone. And bulk extractor is over here. We might need to actually use that, so we'll see if we can't find it just using some of these basic modules. And then DLL list, which we already talked about. The DLL is associated with the processes at the time of extraction. So this is just that information. Let's see if this is still running. No, this finished. And so that was the end of this process list that came out from us, or for us. And the big thing that I'm noticing is just the syntax for a lot of these things has changed. So we just need to make sure that we use the correct syntax as we move forward. So now we're going to look at volatility hunting and detection capabilities. Volatility vulnerability hunting and detection capabilities. It can be done using something called malfind, which is specific for finding for code injection. And this plugin will attempt to identify injected processes with their PIDs along with the offset address and the hex ASCII disassembly view of the infected area. The plugin works by scanning the heap and identifying processes that have an executable bit set of one of those two options. and or no memory mapped file on the disk, which is a fileless malware. Based on what malfile finds, the injected area will change, and MZ header is an indicator of a Windows executable file. The injected area could also be directed toward the shellcode, which requires further analysis. And so this is how you would run that command. And then we have the Yara scan. Yara is excellent at finding these types of things by creating Yara rules, and there are a lot of predetermined and pre-built Yara rules that we can use, or we can write our own Yara rules to use for this. I don't know if this can be modified. I don't know if the Yara scan, it probably can, because it needs to be using the Yara rules that are already installed on it under Vol Python. So if you can find the Yara rules file, you can probably modify it and add your own Yara rules to it. But essentially, this is what we would do to do a scan to find malware and any injection or any potential injection malware. And we're going to end up using all of this inside the practical investigations at the very end of this. So what we're going to now do is we're going to go look at advanced memory forensics, and then from there we're going to use everything that we've learned to do a practical investigation of the dump files that we have. Advanced memory forensics can become confusing when you begin talking about system objects and how malware interacts directly with the system, especially if you don't have prior experience. When dealing with an advanced adversary, you may encounter malware, most of the time rootkits, that will employ very nasty evasion measures that will require you as an analyst to dive into the drivers, mutexes, hooked functions, as a number of modules can help us in this journey to further uncover malware hiding with memory. So the first evasion technique that we're going to be hunting down is hooking. There are 5 methods of hooking, and this is SSDT, IRP, so on and so forth. And we're only going to be focusing on SSDT, as this is one of the most common techniques when dealing with malware evasion, and the easiest plugin to use with the base volatility plugins. The SSDT plugin is this, but I'm sure it has an extension after this also. Hooking can be used by legitimate applications, so it's up to you to identify it as evil. And as a brief overview, SSDT stands for System Service Descriptor Table. The Windows kernel uses this to look up system functions. An adversary can look into this table and modify pointers to point to a location that the rootkit controls. And there are hundreds of table entries when you do that as a dump, and you'll have to analyze the output further to or compare against a baseline. A suggestion is to use this plugin after investigating the initial compromise and working off of it as a part of the lead investigation. So you don't want to start with this, because it'll probably give you too many things that you have to sift and sort through. And then adversaries will also use malicious driver files. Volatility offers 2 plugins to list the drivers. The modules plugin will dump a list of loaded kernel modules. This can be useful in identifying active malware. However, if a malicious file is idly waiting or hidden, it'll miss it. So this plugin is best used once you have further investigated and found potential indicators. And then you have the driver scan plugin, and it'll scan for drivers present on the system at the time of the extraction. And this plugin can help you identify driver files in kernel that modules may have missed. And so the idea is to have prior investigation before moving on to this. It's also recommended to go through modules before going to driver scan. And this is kind of what the syntax for that is going to be. Driver scan in most cases will come up with no output. However, if you do not find anything with modules, it can be useful to attempt this one. There are also other plugins listed that can be helpful to attempt and hunt for advanced malware. And these are those things. And some of these are only present on Volatility 2 or are part of the third-party plugins. To get the most out of it, you need to move to some third-party plugins, and often than not. So read the above and practice looking through the SSDT and drivers. Research the other plugins provided. Some of them will be used within the practical investigations. So it's probably one of these things that we're going to have to try to use and see what we can find. So I am now going to go into the practical investigation, and then from there we're just going to do more research to try to find the potential modules and plugins that we'll need to make our investigation work. All right, we have two cases for the practical investigation. They have their own vmem files or raw files. For the case one, there is a IP address that's been provided to us that might be helpful, and there is a series of questions. So all of these questions apply to case one, and then we have all the questions that apply to case two. So case one is that the Security Operations Center has informed us that they've gathered a memory dump from a quarantined endpoint thought to have been compromised by a banking Trojan masquerading as an Adobe document. Our job is to use the knowledge of what we found and reverse engineer to perform memory forensics on it. The suspicious IP is this thing, and the memory file located is inside of scenarios investigations. And we're just gonna kind of go through all of this, and I'm gonna open these questions up in a different window so I can review it as we're doing our hunt here. And so the first thing I need to do is figure out if this is on the Linux machine or if it's on the attack box. So let's see if we can find scenarios investigations on this Linux machine. And let's kind of zoom in a little bit here. And so I need to see if I can find that. So I'm going to do find inside of here a directory called scenarios. And hopefully it's not case sensitive. And okay, so I will do it with case sensitivity and see if that is useful. Okay, so still nothing. So that means it's on the attack box here. So then what we're going to end up using at this point is volatility, hopefully being installed on the attack box, but it seems like it's not installed on the attack box. So that's a little bit of a misleading thing. So I need to see if I can even find volatility, or at the very least, let's see if we can find these scenarios. So let's see. Okay, so scenarios is actually on this thing. It's so weird that it doesn't show it to me when I use find, but whatever. So it's inside the scenarios file, the root folder, and from here we're going to do investigations, and from here we have two files. So these are the two files that we have, and now I want to just kind of go back to where the volume or volatility Python file exists, just so I kind of know where these things are. So what I'm gonna actually do to make this a little bit simple, I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna copy this, and I'm just gonna paste it inside of this one. So I'll just have that pasted here, and then we'll do /investigation 1.vmem, and I'm just going to keep that there for easy copy pasting. And then from here we're going to go back to our original root here, and we're going to try to find where volatility was, and I think it was in the opt folder. Yeah, so cd volatility, and there's the Python file. So there is that. So now we're going to run our scan against this thing and see if we can find anything for this IP address. So the first question is, what is the build version of the host machine in case one? And so windows.info is what we're supposed to be looking for, but based on what you and I have discovered so far, is that when you go for windows.info, it's actually not windows.info. It's windows.info.info. And so if I just confirm that real quick, we'll go here, and then we have something called, where is it? Where's windows.info? There it is. So we have windows.info.info with a capital I. So that's what we're going to be using. And so from here, I am now going to run Python 3 volume.py. The file is going to be the file that is saved over here. So I'm just going to copy this, and hopefully I can just keep pasting it. So there's our file, and paste that in here, and then do that, and then windows.info.info, and it's going to give us our information, and we need the build version of the host machine. So let's go see that. just from reviewing some of this information, we can see that there is it's a Windows NT because it's shown up several times here. So it's probably Windows NT, and then the version number is 5 here. The major operating system version is 5. So Windows NT 5 is what I would guess on this. Let's see if that will work. Oh, but it needs it's like a full thing over here. So I think it's one of these things right here. So build lab is probably what we're looking for right here. So this might be the thing that we're looking for. So let's copy that and see if that works. Okay, that is the right answer. At what time was the memory file acquired in case 1? Let's see what the hint gives us, and it's still windows.info. So at what time was a memory file acquired in case 1? So let's see what we can find here. It's one of these two, because these are the only two, but I think it's the system time. So system time might be what we're looking for. And that is it. Okay, great. What process can be considered suspicious in case 001? And for this, we're going to be looking for PS scan. And if you remember, that also has different syntax. So if I go here and do the help one more time, and then we go look for PS scan, it is different. And the formula seems to be that the first letter is capitalized, and then the second word's first letter is also capitalized. So PS list, so PL are capitalized, PS scan, PS, and PS tree, PT. So that kind of seems to be the idea here. So we're going to be using PS scan this time, and for that I'm going to let me make sure I have the proper zoom level here so that hopefully you could see this a little bit better. So we're going to clear this up, and we're going to go a little bit further up here. And I've already used copy paste several times, so I need to go ahead and recopy this portion and come back here now and go and use Python 3 vol.py. The file is going to be, I'm just going to use it without quotes, and let's see if it works without quotes. And then we're going to do Windows PS scan dot PS scan, and that's going to be a little bit of a capitalized type of a look. So, and let's see if that works. Okay, that did work. And so now we're going to look for something that might be suspicious here. So I'm going to zoom, make this a little bit bigger. So file output, so on and so forth. And we're looking for something that might be suspicious out of these things. All right, this is done at first glance. Most of these things seem okay. Spool SV possibly, because I don't recognize that. And this thing I don't recognize either. LSAS I recognize, services, all these things I do recognize. So at this point, I'm just basically testing whatever could be the answer. I get, okay, so reader underscore SL might be, that is the, the suspicious one. So what is the parent process of the suspicious process? And that was under, I think PS list or PS tree that would show it to us. PS tree, okay. So PS tree is the option. So we're going to go up and look at the help just to make sure. I think it's, you know, capital P, capital T. Yeah, it is capital P, capital T. So I'm going to copy this one more time just to make sure that we have that. And, or you know what, instead of doing this, I could probably just do this every time and make my life a little bit easier. I think that's actually a better case. So if you press up, it, you know, shows you all the stuff that you ran before, and there it is. So that's the last thing that we need to update, which is PS tree. And that'll show all of these things for us. And so reader was the one that we were looking at. And so the parent that we need to find, what's the parent? The PPID, which is the parent process ID, is what we're looking for reader. So 1484 is our PPID. And so if I just do PPID that and see what brings it up for us, what is it? Is Explorer. So it's the Explorer.exe process is what that PPID goes to. There we go. And what is the PID of the suspicious process in case 1? So this is our PID, which is 1640. So we can copy that and paste that. And there's that. And what is the parent process PID in case 1, which is this thing right here? Kind of have us going back and forth here. And there is that. And what user agent was employed by the adversary in that case? So we're going to look at the dump, and we're going to output the dump into something. And Windows memmap or memmap, and then the PID, suspicious PID, dump once, and the dump is stored use strings. Oh, and dump. And so once the dump is stored, use strings, and then look for that. So this is like a series of instructions here that we have. So I'm just gonna again look at that in my secondary window, and then run that series of commands inside here just so we can find it. So first I need to verify that it's the same thing that I'm looking for is the memmap thing. So let me just make sure the memmap is actually the way that these guys are saying it's supposed to be. And then from here, we'll go and try to find the other information. Okay, so the memmap is exactly how they said that it is. So this part is cool. So I'm going to copy this, and we're going to clear the screen. We're going to go up just so we can use the exact thing that we want. And then there's a few things that we need to modify here. So the first one is the suspicious PID, which is 1640 in this case. So I'm going to do memmap first based on the instructions. We're going to do memmap, and then we're going to do PID, and it's 1640. And then we're going to do a dump, and we need to output this. So I forgot to add an output, but maybe I can just add it at the end here. And it's going to be output in the current directory, I guess. We can do, I'll just do the root, just like that. And so output, that doesn't work. So volatility 3 could be where we would do the output unrecognized document, output directory. It doesn't work if I just do the / as the output directory. So I'm just going to do that, and I'm going to do where we are. So opt volatility 3. And it still doesn't recognize it. Why not? What the hell? Okay, so I created a new directory in our temp folder. And so the output is going to go inside the temp folder, and it's going to be vol output is where it's going to be, and that should be fine. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now we have all of this stuff over here, and so once we do that, we're going to use strings.dmp, and we're going to grep for user agent. And that's a lot of stuff over here. So let's see what that's going to look like. So it's going to be strings, or let me just clear this so you can see this better. It's going to be strings, and we're going to search inside the temp folder inside the vol output directory, and it's going to search for the *.dmp. And then we're going to grep for the user agent field. And let's see if that gives us anything. Oh, look at that. Just like that. So Mozilla, yada, yada, yada. And I think I need to copy this whole thing over here. So let's copy that and go out here and do that and submit that. And there we go. Great. And was Chase Bank one of the suspicious bank domains found in case 1? Oh, that's interesting. Let's see what we can do to find that. What's the hint here? Strings dmp and then grep http, or strings dmp grep chase. So let's do that same command here, except now we're gonna do grep chase. And I mean, yeah, Chase Bank is all over this thing. So look at that. Chase Online, Chase.com, Chase yada yada yada. So I'm gonna say yeah. This seems to be one of the suspicious bank domains that was used. Okay, so there's that. We just did everything for case 1. Now we can move on to case 2. So let's see what case 2's information is and what that breaks down as. Case 2 that kind of hurt my feelings. You have been informed that your corporation has been hit with a chain of ransomware that has been hitting corporations internationally. Your team has already retrieved the decryption key and recovered from the attack. Still, your job is to perform post-incident analysis and identify what actors were at play and what occurred on the system. You have been provided with a raw memory dump, and it's located at investigation2.raw. And so we're now going to try to answer all of this stuff over here. So pretty much the same kind of series of scans that we're going to end up using, except we're just using a different file. So investigation2.raw is the file, and let's start from the very top. So it says, what is the suspicious process ID? We're supposed to use PS scan. So now I'm just gonna copy this once, and then we can just kind of press the up arrow button for the remainder of this task, and we're going to do PS scan. So Python 3 vol.py, and this is the file. Paste that over here. What the hell? I didn't press enter. Boom. And then now we're going to do Windows PS scan.ps scan. And there we go. And now we're going to get the processes that are attached with that. And what is the suspicious process that's running at PID 740 in case 2? So let's try to find PID 740 right here. And this is the suspicious process. So we're going to copy that, go back here, paste that here. That is our answer. What is the full path of the suspicious binary in PID 740? So let's see what we need to do for that. And it's the DLL list grep 740. So windows.dll list grep 740. So I can just kind of stop this from running. Oh, it doesn't even work, does it? Oh, it does. Okay, keyboard interrupt does work here. So what I want to do is I want to just make sure that it is PLL list or DLL list. Let's look in here to try to find DLL list. And let's see. So yeah, DLL list dot capital DLL capital list. Okay, so DLL list is what we're looking for. And now we're going to run through that same thing where we're going to search through this, and now we're just going to do dll.dll list. Oh no, excuse me, it needs to be dll list.dll list like that, and then grep for 740. So let's see what we can find here. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. The full path that it's asking for, though, the full path of the suspicious binary in case 2. These are all a lot of things. So the full path is probably going to also be WANA decryptor, maybe. But there's a lot. I mean, this is a lot. There we go. So this is the full path for WANA decryptor. This thing right here. So I'm going to copy this, go back here, paste that. There we go. What is the parent process of 740? And that's going to be PS tree. Yep. So we are going to now go up one more time in our series of commands. We're just going to press up, and then we're going to go here and do ps tree.ps tree. And then maybe I can just grep 740 out of this too and pull that up. Yeah, just like that. So that's way easier. The parent ID is 1940. And what is the parent process? So what is the parent process ID is 1940. And then we're going to look for the actual process itself. So let's kind of run through this. PID 1940. And what do we have here? Ransomware detection, wanted decryptor. Oh, this seems to be something that they did for TryHackme, I think. PID parents, 1940. What is the PID, 1940? It says task S, this thing. I'm going to say that this is it. And we're going to go here and paste that here. Cool. And from our current information, what malware is present on the system in case 02? Now we can research the found indicators against the white papers and virus total. So we're gonna, I guess I'll do, let's see what we can find on virus total. Okay, so simple Google search, what malware is connected to task that? It's called WannaCry ransomware, and WannaCry ransomware shows up on a few different lists, so we're gonna use WannaCry as our answer. Okay, that's good. And what DLL is loaded by the decryptor used for socket creation in case 2? What can we find? Research DLLs used by the malware in question. So what DLL is loaded by the decryptor used for socket creation? So let's see, what DLL is used by WannaCry for socket creation? WannaCry uses WS232 DLL. So let's see if that is the case. Okay, cool. What mutex can be found that is a known indicator of the malware in question? And what can we find? Windows handles grep 1940. So now I'm just gonna assume that it's gonna be Windows handles, and then I would have to do a capital handles as well. So handles dot capital handles, and then grep 1940. And there we go. What is it? I think this is what they're looking for, right? CSRSS? No, we need the full thing. So what is the handles? Okay, so this is a little bit of a challenge to sift through. One of the things that I think we can also do is we can grep for a second thing. So if I grep for mutex, because that's inside the question. So let's see if anything shows up for mutex and PID 1940, right? What mutex can be found? Okay, there we go. So same PID and a mutant, whatever. This is the full thing. So I don't know if it's including the A at the end or if we just stop at mutex, but let's include it with the A. Okay, cool. And what plugin could be used to identify all files loaded from the malware working directory in case 2? All files loaded from the malware working directory. Review the help menu. All file loaded from the malware. So let's go here. Let's go back to our help menu. And I'm going to do a quick little search up here for malware. And let's see what I can find. Nothing shows up for malware. Let's see, what if we do all files? Nothing shows up for all files either. Okay, so I guess I'm gonna skim through this and see what I can find. This seems to be interesting. It says scans for file objects present in it, so maybe file scan could be it. Let's see what else we can find. Okay, so Windows malfind, that's probably a really good one too. See what else we can find. Yeah, those are the only things. So malfind, I think, is the one that I'm gonna go with as my first thing. But what was the other one that was also interesting? It was file scan. So it's either malfind or file scan. So windows.malfind. Nope. And so file scan. Okay, that's it. So windows.filescan is the one that was it. And so just like that, we finished the practical investigations using volatility. In conclusion, we've only done a very thin layer of memory forensics, and it can go much deeper within these various architectures. And if you're looking for a deep dive into memory forensics, I would suggest reading The Art of Memory Forensics. And there's also a bunch of wikis that are available, as well as GitHub repositories, and a bunch of other things that you can always use to learn more about this information. And so from this room, we can continue down SOC Level 1, and we will learn even more about memory forensics. So this was a cool one. This was an exciting one, and we just wrapped it. Very excited about it. If you learned anything from this room or from this video, I invite you to like, subscribe, and turn on notification bell so that you can get notified the next time that a video comes out in this path. If no one else loves you, Hank loves you. And I will definitely see you in the next video. Love, peace, and chicken grease. Later.